And we are back. And as we continue to talk about the Steam machine, a few things, let me fix my color here. A few things are becoming more and more clear to me that the Steam machine is going to have an issue having a grasp on the gaming community, because since the Atari 2600 came out, it's been really difficult for three consoles to be successful at the same time in gaming. And not only that, every time a new console maker has tried to come into the industry, it hasn't worked out. The last company to come into the industry with a new console that was successful was PlayStation. They're the only ones that have been able to do it. Meaning that Nintendo was already there. Nintendo started at the same time, about the same time as Atari in Japan. But PlayStation was the first real somebody coming into the industry with a new idea that actually worked. Sega tried it and it didn't work. And as a matter of fact, Valve has also tried it in the past and it didn't work. So the question is, what will be different this time? What about now makes it unique? But to even get to that, we do have to go back and just say, is it even going to be possible for Valve to do this? And the question is, why has it been difficult for three consoles to be successful at the same time? Well, the issue gets back to games in that all of these consoles play the same games. And again, this is the reason why Nintendo has always been successful, because Nintendo is uniquely different from PlayStation. And when Xbox came into the industry, they tried to replicate PlayStation, and we saw how that go. In fact, when Sega Genesis came into the industry, with the Sega Genesis, they tried to go after Nintendo, with Sonic being like a counterpart to Mario. The idea was Mario is for kids and Sonic is for teenagers. That was the marketing pitch. And the Sega Genesis was successful, but as time passed, by the time they got to Dreamcast, the magic was gone. So if we're going to say who are the really successful gaming companies that do consoles, well, it's only ever been Nintendo and Sony. That's it. No one else has been able to match that. But underneath all of that, there was a storm brewing. And this is where the conversation begins for Valve, because that storm that was brewing was PC gaming. So here's the really interesting part about PC gaming. It's been around for so long. In fact, PC gaming has been innovating for so long. It never reached the masses, mainly because PC has always been too expensive, right? For example, I didn't have a PC growing up because my school we weren't talking about PCs. Even though I grew up literally 30 minutes from Silicon Valley, we just weren't really talking about PC and PC gaming. But that was a storm that was brewing, right? Underneath, and that storm was being backed up by Steam. So the question is this why this particular machine is going to succeed? Because this is not really a new idea. This is the idea that's been the third idea all along. PC gaming was right there with PlayStation and right there with Nintendo, and it was always doing something different, right? Because PC gaming has been different from console. But now here's where the catch comes in, because now that consolidation is happening more and more, because the difference between PC gaming and console gaming doesn't power. Let's just say power. PC gaming will generally be more powerful than console gaming, but game-wise, the games are the same. There's still a few games that are PC-only games, I think, but those are super rare. So that's where we find ourselves now. The consolidation has happened. Everyone is playing the same games, right? So that leads to this point. Will the Steam machine work? Because the Steam machine is coming into a different gaming environment than the one prior, when Sega Genesis, when the Sega tried it, and when Microsoft tried it, even when Valve tried it the first time. Is the answer, oh, the world just wasn't ready for that yet because PC wasn't quite there in people's minds yet, but now PC is on everybody's mind. So now is the right time. And not only is PC on everybody's mind, cheaper PC is on everybody's mind because as you guys know, the prices of RAM keeps going up and up and up. So PC is not getting any cheaper, which means, does that mean that it's the perfect time for somebody to come in here and say, hey, what if we give you, excuse me, let me adjust my camera real quick here. Done. What if we give you a consolidated box for all of your PC? So in that regard then, PC is technically not a new console. The Steam Machine is technically not a new console. It's an iteration on the number 3 console that's always been there. And that's where it gets interesting. But again, there's another reason why Sega failed and why Xbox failed. 2 reasons. So why did Sega fail? Cost. The Sega Genesis, the Sega Dreamcast was too expensive. Okay, it was too expensive. It was too expensive to make. It was too expensive to sell. So it didn't sell. Go look up the sales on the Sega Genesis. For those who think the Sega Genesis was such a revolution, so much so that one person called himself the Dreamcast guy. That's how much of a revolution that was. But it was revolution in technology. It was not a revolution in consumerism. It was not a revolution in, hey, do you want this box? Give me a good price and I will give you this box. Because the question was, Sega came up to us and said, do you want this box? We're just like, man, the Dreamcast, this box looks amazing. Oh my God, yeah, give me that. And then we're like, what's the price? And Sega was like, well, 2 arms, 1 leg, maybe a kidney. Just throw that in there and I'll give you this. Yes, my family owned the Dreamcast. It was a revolution. It was a revolution. But again, not in terms of price. Back to Steam. Are you trying to be a revolution? What's your price? There's no revolution if the price is not right. It won't happen. Now we're thinking, based on what Linus is saying now they're talking $750. Okay, we're getting closer to a revolution. But better not be too much to produce. And I do think the Steam Machine is not going to be too much to produce. So I think on that front, the Steam Machine will be successful as long as the price is right. Okay, the Xbox problem. The Xbox problem was a problem of, okay, you know what? Xbox is super interesting. So I'm going to take my time explaining this one. This is a really fun way to understand this. Because Xbox, for a moment, had it. They had it with the 360. But that led to another problem that Steam is going to face. That is, whenever a new console comes into the industry, the first iteration is not going to be as successful as the second. But when the second becomes successful, that means, let me rephrase, if the second becomes successful, that means somebody is losing out. The PS2, revolution, best gaming console of all time. The Xbox One, a meager console, but enough to carry on. The Xbox 360, okay, that was the magic. Yes, why was the Xbox 360 called the 360 rather than the 2? Because Xbox did not want the idea of 2 to compete with PlayStation's idea of 3, because that would give consumers the idea that 3 was better than 2. So they called it 360. Boom. Guess what? They equaled PlayStation in sales. It worked. The plan worked. However, Xbox ran into this problem of what do we do next? Because what they did next killed them, which was the Xbox One. Again, the reason why it's been really hard for new companies to bring new consoles into the industry is that you can't do it once. You're gonna have to do it at least 3 times for you to have a foothold. PlayStation almost messed it up with the PS3. They almost messed it up with the PS3. What was their mess up with the PS3? Back to Sega Genesis. How much do you want for this? Oh. But it's really powerful. But you know, money. So That was their mess up. By the time we got to the PS3 though, they had built such a fan base with the PS2 that all they had to do was just be like, yo, let's go back to not making a super powerful console for absolutely no reason. Let's not try to be PC. Let's just remain console. Okay, remember, Steam is trying to be PC on console. Is it going to work? Evidence suggests that no, it won't work because people are going to say you're not being what you're supposed to be. Back to Xbox. What was the Xbox problem? Xbox tried to be something they weren't supposed to be, which is Xbox tries to be all about entertainment and movies and all this extra stuff, again, trying to be a PC in a console. This is the problem. When you try to be a PC in a console, it doesn't work. Xbox tried it and it trashed them. The Xbox One absolutely killed every single momentum they have from the 360. Killed it. Absolutely murdered it. From that point on, Xbox had no shot. But again, keep in mind, you cannot try to be something you're not. If you're going to be console, you're going to have to be console. Back to Steam. Here's the thing that's worrying me about Steam right now. And that when I talk to people who are talking about Steam, they're still talking about Steam like the Steam machine, like it's a PC. So people are saying things like, oh, this is going to do more than just game, right? I'm going to use it for more than just game. Or things like, oh, what about modding? And it's like, okay, Valve, if you try to be something you're not going to succeed. Are you a console? Are you a PC? But again, let's spin it back to a positive look. It's possible that now we are at the point where people are ready for a console that's more than just a console, right? Maybe, honestly, I'm not. I don't use my PS5 or Nintendo Switch for anything other than gaming. It can do other things other than gaming, but I don't because I have other avenues, right? So, is Steam going to be able to capture the PC element and integrate that into console and people will show up for it? Again, back to Dreamcast and PS3, how much are you charging? Again, back to Xbox, are you trying to be something you're not? And then Xbox had another problem in that once they started crumbling, they said, oh crap, we gotta pivot. What should we do? Gamers were saying, oh, exclusives. Just exclusives. That's what we want. Make us good exclusives and that will differentiate you from PlayStation. Xbox didn't do that. And now Xbox is going the way of Sega. Again, gaming history shows the problems that you have to address are pretty clear. The question is, will you be able to address them properly? So, Valve, exclusives, do you have those? As I said in my video yesterday, they got a couple of them. Yeah, they got a couple, and they're pretty dope. You know, don't they also own Counter-Strike? Counter-Strike. Console gamers will not be doing Counter-Striking. I can tell you that. What will console gamers do? Half-Life 3. Console gamers would love Half-Life 3. Portal 3. Console gamers will love Portal 3. Maybe Dota. No, we don't love Dota. No. Console gamers don't want Dota. We don't. Deadlock. Do console gamers want Deadlock? Sure, it's an FPS. We'll take that. Some good aim assist and boom, we're good to go. But here's the thing. Valve, you don't have enough of those. You don't have enough exclusives. You need to give us a roadmap of, hey, guess what? We're going to give you 2 games a year because guess how many games Sony is giving us a year? At least 2 from PlayStation Studios. At least 2. We're getting 2 of those a year. That's how they're staying afloat, and that's how they've always stayed afloat. Yes, third parties do matter, but exclusives is what makes people want to buy your particular console. And right now, I do not get the feeling or the vibe or the sense that Valve has enough of that. So, Valve, how are you going to enter this space that has been that evidence clearly suggests that no one has been able to successfully penetrate it, right? Here's another reason why this could work. In the early 80s, gaming was primarily limited to Japan, North America, and a couple countries in Europe. In the 90s, right, gaming expanded a bit. Here's the thing. In 2025, gaming expanded to every corner of the world. Okay, gaming has become the thing that everybody has, even if they don't have clean water. I love it. Even if they don't have clean water, they have gaming. Hey, we're doing our part to save the world. Why don't the rest of you get to it? Clean water people, get to it. We're doing our part. We're entertaining people with good stories. So we're doing our part. You get to your part. So you may not have get clean water in your village, and you gotta get water bottles. But hey, you got a video game system. Boom, stories are coming to you. Great ideas are coming to you. But back to the point of population, now there are way more people in the world, one, and there are way more people in the world who have access to video games. So again, will Vive succeed? Because this is the perfect time to bring back a console, to introduce a new console in the system. But of course, that would beg the question of why Xbox, the Xbox Series X and S didn't work. Maybe it's because they are two SKUs. That's part of my theory. But if it can be done, no one has done it yet. So will Valve do it? Time will determine. But those are the problems, and those are the issues that Valve is going to face. So once again, thanks for watching this video. Please hit the like, hit the subscribe, say what's up to your boy. Leave a heart. I don't know. Do what you do. As always, happy Thanksgiving for those of you who celebrated yesterday. And for everybody else, see you in the next one. Have a wonderful day.